It's an Illini basketball postgame show from No One Asked Us. I'm Logan Lee here in my home studio. Craig was at the game in Champaign at State Farm Center. Craig is officially better luck than I am. I got a text from my dad earlier that said Craig greater than Logan, and that's where we're at. Illinois gets into the win column in the Big Ten, taking down Wisconsin, number 14 ranked Wisconsin, 79-69 in Champaign. Needed it. This is a game Illinois needed to win. There's so much negativity circulating in this program right now, and it's hard to say where we go from here, but this is a game Illinois needed to win against a really good Wisconsin team. Granted that Wisconsin did not have Tyler Wall. Let's get that out of the way now. Their leading scorer, probably their best player, was on the sidelines in a walking boot. Tyler Wall was not playing for Wisconsin. Regardless, big win for Illinois. Craig, give me your thoughts. How is the vibe from the State Farm Center first and foremost? Because I think that's the most important thing.
The vibe was after about the first 8 minutes, it was great. The first 8 minutes of the game was super slow. The crowd was not into it, but then Illinois went on a run, got the halftime lead. I think it got it up to like 6 before the half. It was a 3-point halftime lead, but the crowd really got into it before halftime. It was a great atmosphere, and it was a completely different team. I mean, this is a team we haven't seen like a month, and I don't know that this will be the consensus or if people will jump to this, but this wasn't because Sky Clark's gone. Like that had nothing to do with this. This is just this team finally is coming together or came together for a game and played some offense. You know, the guys I'm with, it's a group of 6 of us up here. Immediately in the first half, we were like, wait, they're actually running sets. They're running offensive plays. They're finding open men. They're playing basketball. They're not doing the free willy-nilly type of stuff. And you could tell this team looked good for the first time in 4 weeks. And it came at the right time against the leader in the Big Ten, the co-champions that you shared the title with last year. It came at the right time, and they looked good. They had 2 guys score 20, at least 4 guys scoring double figures, a very rounded effort, and it was good to see in person. I will say that.
Yeah, let's go over some of that scoring real quick that you just alluded to. Terrence Shannon led the team, 24 points, had 8 rebounds. He was also 9 for 12 from the free throw line. I feel like all of those came in the last 2 minutes. Coleman Hawkins, Craig's favorite player, Coleman Hawkins, 20 points tonight, 5 boards, had an assist. Jaden Epps, the human bucket, 15 points for him off the bench. And then Matthew Meyer kind of played an all-around game, kind of did a little bit of everything. 10 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. He looked pretty good. So yeah, those are the 4 double-figure scorers you alluded to. Got to get some more out of RJ Melendez. Continued to struggle to shoot early in the game. He did eventually hit a 3, or I guess he hit a 2, a long 2. He only finished with 4 points, but still, I mean, you gotta be happy with what you saw today. This is a team that looked dead in the water for the last month and a half. Ever since they came back from Madison Square Garden against Texas, things have not looked good, and they clearly turned the corner today. You did mention the whole Sky Clark thing. We didn't do a show about it last night or anything. He did announce on social media yesterday that he was basically stepping away from the team for the time being. We don't really know much more than that. So Illinois was playing shorthanded today already without Luke Goody, who they haven't had all season long, but only played 8 deep today. And I can imagine that that's probably what you're going to see now for the foreseeable future until Goody and or Sky Clark comes back. It was okay today. Is that something you're concerned about going forward, though?
For the depth, maybe. Depending on how quick Goody can come back, which it sounds like within the month, which is kind of what we expected, I think. I think initially when the injury happened, everyone kind of thought January at some point. So if he comes back soon, the way you can look at it is it's essentially a Luke Goody for Sky Clark trade. Because I don't think Brad would have gone 10 deep in his rotation if everyone stays. So this might help alleviate some of the issues, the logjam of the rotation once Goody comes back. But excuse me, it could rear its head at times because that's another ball handler. I know he wasn't playing great, but he's a good guard that you could throw out there, and I think people still trusted to handle the ball and run the offense. And so yeah, it's going to hurt the depth. It's going to hurt a little bit. I still think he's going to be a great basketball player whenever he gets over whatever he's going through. If is that going to be at Illinois? I don't think anyone knows at this point. But at the moment, not too concerned. I think you've got options with Sincere Harris and Jaden Epps and even Coleman Hawkins if he has to play some points. So at the moment, not too concerned. Obviously, coming off a win, it's easier to say that than if it would have lost this game. But definitely something to keep an eye on how things shake out the next couple of weeks with Sky Clark gone.
A couple other things, just kind of comparing the two teams, is really the shooting. Illinois was 10 for 19 from three, whereas Wisconsin was 8 for 29. Wisconsin looked a lot like Illinois has the last couple months from 3-point range. So big difference there. And then at the free throw line, Illinois hardly got to the free throw line against Northwestern. And they managed to get there 26 times today, 19 for 26, 73% from the free throw line. Wisconsin was only 5 for 12 and 42%. So I think that's kind of what we're looking at here. This is the version of Illinois that we saw early in the season and that we thought is a real threat in the Big Ten and in the tournament. Now, I'm not going to say that this team is a real threat in the Big Ten now, losing your first 3 Big Ten games. But they're going to be, when this team's playing like this, nobody's going to want to play them. And I think that's what we've expected. And that's what we had seen up until the last few weeks. You just kind of got to step on the gas here because there's not a lot of time to fall apart. I kind of had this thought early on in the game where I'm so used to the past few seasons, you'd never want to lose a game at home. Especially, you don't want to lose a game early in the home Big Ten season. But I thought to myself, I'm used to watching a game like this thinking, if they lose this game, it's not going to be the end of the world. This is a top, number 14 ranked team in the country, good Wisconsin team. But then I got to thinking about it again. They can't afford to lose these games. They can't afford to lose many games from here on out. So you've put yourself in quite the hole to start the season, and it's going to be difficult to not fall back into that. But we saw today this team is certainly capable of doing a lot of things.
Yeah, when you have Terrence Shannon taking over at moments like he did today, when you have Coleman Hawkins hitting at least 5 threes, I think he hit at least 5. Matthew Meyer didn't score a ton, but I thought he looked good. There really wasn't a single player that we're walking away from this game thinking we could have got more from them. I think everyone did about what they needed to. No one tried to do too much. No one really slacked off. It was a good effort across the board, which is not something we've seen in a long time. So step in the right direction, but now you got to, like you said, you got to put a couple of these together. You got to get back to 500 in the league, kind of reset and get to 500, and then try and make the push back to a top four seed in the Big Ten tournament.
Yep. Coleman had 6 threes today, 6 for 9 from 3-point for his 20 points. Sincere Harris, 0 points, really looked like a freshman on the offensive side of the ball. Now he did some nice things defensively, which is what we're expecting him to do. But if he's going to be the 5th guy in that starting lineup, you're going to probably need to see a little bit more out of him. He started the game by going to the basket for 2 consecutive layups that were just absolutely abysmal shots. And he airballed them both to start the game and then went straight to the bench. So I don't really know how this rotation will shake out for the foreseeable future, but if he's going to be that 5th guy, you're going to need a little bit more from him offensively because he's really looked like a freshman the last couple of games.
Was it the right time to buy one of
these? What name is on the back of that?
There's no name on the back, just one. I bought it this morning when I got into town. I've been looking for one. I was like, this is Trent Frazier, war number 1. This was the design that he had. Sincere Harris has looked good. He's number 1. I was like, at least people are going to associate it with Trent Frazier or Sincere Harris. So yeah, I rocked this today. But It's funny. I'm glad you brought that up because with at the under 4 timeout, I think I looked up at the stat board and I was like, Sincere Harris has 0 points, 0 rebounds, yet I feel like he's had a big impact on the game, which says a lot because he did. Outside of those 2 layups, I thought he looked pretty good. He had those freshman moments, like you said, but there was one point Illinois hit a 3, and we were celebrating the 3, and we look up, and Sincere has the ball off the inbound. Like, he stole the inbound pass. I was like, how? What? How did? I mean, I don't think Illinois got anything out of that. I think they might have turned it over and missed a shot, but that's just the way he is. He's never going to give up. And I think that's why you can keep running him out there. Even if he doesn't score, he's going to guard. He's going to give effort. I mean, he gave too much effort on Wednesday and fouled out or had 2 fouls in 30 seconds. Too much effort. But for the most part, I think 75% of the time he's doing good things.
And there's enough talent and scoring ability on this team that you don't need him to provide many points. But it's just noticeable what he's doing on the court, both offensively and defensively. All right. Anything else from this game before we shut this thing down?
No, I can't think of anything.
Okay. Illinois heads to Nebraska on the 10th. I believe that's Tuesday. Nebraska beat Minnesota in overtime today. So Minnesota is a pretty bad basketball team, and it took additional time. Huh?
Is that at Nebraska?
The game, Illinois is at Nebraska, yes. So Nebraska 2-3 in the Big Ten. That's where Illinois heads on Tuesday. So Illinois final from State Farm Center, 79-69 over number 14 Wisconsin. Illinois improves to 10-5 on the season, 1-3 in Big Ten play, finally getting their first Big Ten win. Wisconsin with the loss drops to 11-3 and 3-1 in the Big Ten. For Craig, I'm Logan. We'll see you guys here in a few days. That's the final from State Farm Center. Craig, have a safe trip back to Louisville. We'll see you later this week.
Later.